Hello, my name is Alexey Skobelev. I am the founder and director of the research and consulting agency Markswebb. And today we are starting a video series about user experience issues in digital services. At Markswebb, we use our own UX problem classification system, which includes over 40 different classes and subclasses of problems based on the nature of their origin and the mechanics of their impact on the user. And today I will talk about the very first, simplest and the most basic class of UX problem when the service is fundamentally incapable of solving a user's specific task. As the first scenario of how this problem can arise in a service, the service hasn't designed and implemented a function for a user task that the user clearly associates with the type of the service. For example, if a bank customer logs into the banking app and can't buy plane tickets through it, this is normal and probably not a problem. Also, some banking super apps in some countries offer the functionality to buy plane tickets. The average user is unlikely to expect such an opportunity in a banking app and will not suffer from the lack of such a feature. But if, for example, a banking app doesn't allow you to view your card payment history, let's say, for a year, this is a typical problem that falls under this category, because viewing your account payment and transfer history is a natural basic need that bank customers associate with banking service. Let me give you an example. This is the DeGiro app, one of the largest trading platforms in Europe that you may use to buy and sell securities as a private investor. If a DeGiro user buys a bond through their app, they will encounter a problem. The service doesn't allow them to obtain information about future coupon payments on that bond. Since receiving coupon income is the primary purpose of buying bonds, this natural need will not be satisfied for a client who buys a bond from DeGiro. The app simply doesn't provide any information about bond coupons. In some cases, even though the service doesn't provide functionality specifically designed to solve a specific problem, it can still be solved through a workaround. For example, a user of a banking app wants to download a receipt from a completed transfer, but the app doesn't have a function for downloading the receipt. Instead, the user can take a screenshot of the transfer results or a screenshot of the account transfer history. It's a life hack. In most cases, such workarounds lead to other types of problems, which we'll discuss in future videos, but I will show you another example from the European delivery service Glovo. The user visits Glovo's website to order food delivery and is in a hurry to find the fastest delivery option. According to his task, the user expects to find some sorting or filtering feature for restaurants by delivery time, but discovers that this feature is missing. While they can use the Near Me filter to view nearby restaurants, which often deliver quickly, they have to manually scroll through the list to identify the fastest options. The user anticipates that the system will automatically prioritize quickest deliveries, but it doesn't, forcing them to take extra steps to locate suitable restaurants. So how to avoid such problems in your app? First of all, map user goals against the product's core domain and ensure all essential end-to-end tasks are supported. Second, benchmark against competitors to identify critical gaps in functionality. The second scenario of this class of problems is technical errors that result in the inoperability of individual features and interface elements, preventing the user from completing their task. From the user's perspective, this is quite the same as if the functionality they need didn't exist at all. The result is the same, the user can't complete their task. But in many cases, such situations are even more frustrating for users than just the lack of functionality. This is because the user initially expects to be able to complete the task only to encounter failure later. This is further getting worse by the fact that after encountering a bug, the user often doesn't know what to do next, try again right now or try again later, and these repeated attempts, which often end unsuccessfully, lead to additional wasted time and even greater frustration. I'm sure everyone has encountered situations where something in a service simply doesn't work as intended and designed, and here is a short example of such a problem. This is the educational service Skillshare. When a user launches a video on their computer and opens it in a full screen mode, the subtitle language selection interface stops working. So clicking on the selected subtitle language does nothing, and the language selection window simply closes without enabling the selected language. When auditing various digital services, we frequently encounter this type of problem. This is especially true for large services with a huge number of different functions and features, where each new release may sometimes break something that was previously implemented. Okay, general rules how to avoid such problem. Implement robust error handling. Every failed action must trigger a clear, actionable message. Provide in-flow recovery options. For example, change payment method, retry input, switch mode, so a single failure doesn't block the whole task. The third scenario for this type of problem is when the user is unable to complete their task because the service requires data they don't currently have, or because certain conditions are currently impossible to fulfill. This often occurs during new user registration processes or when opening new accounts in banking or investment apps. For example, when a financial service asks the user to take a selfie or video selfie during registration, but poor lighting conditions prevent the user from doing so, interrupting the whole registration process. How can such problems be avoided? This isn't always possible, as good UX conflicts with security factors and compliance requirements. However, the general rules you should follow to minimize the severity of such problems are as follows. First of all, differentiate legally mandated requirements from optional or policy-driven ones and enforce only what is strictly necessary. Provide alternative verification paths. For example, short messages instead of email, upload later, verify with another document instead of hard blocks. Design flows that allow users to save progress and return once the missing data is available. And last, collaborate with compliance and risk teams to balance security with accessibility, ensuring restrictions are proportionate to actual risk. I have covered the first and most obvious class of user experience issues in digital services. Next, we will cover much less obvious app navigation problems. Stay tuned, subscribe to Markswebb channel, like this video to keep up with it, and avoid missing new videos on how to address user experience problems in modern digital services. See you!